it has been an eventful start to the year in the markets. We saw some jobs data today that painted a not so great picture. We received some FOMC minutes yesterday that showed that Jerome Powell and the Fed is doing their best Creed impression. Can you take me higher? And they said, oh, we can, and we'll hold it there for longer. Before we get going into all of today's news, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel. Nothing we say is financial advice. Please do your own research. Consider everything before you make any buy and sell decisions. Kevin, first off, did you like that Creed reference? And secondly, how are you feeling about the markets today?
You know, I love that Creed reference. Now we got to get a stained one. We got to get who else can we throw in there? If we're throwing some 9-inch nails, anything. I'm down
Puddle
for
of
it.
mud, maybe just like any of these bad bands. So okay, so we got that under Nickelback. Oh yeah, we need to get some Nickelback. How are you feeling? So far this week, we had a show Monday. We didn't have too much information after the holidays, but we're starting to get a little bit of data, and it's not looking great.
No, again, we're always thinking macro here, so long term, and small price fluctuations, any pumps like that, don't necessarily deter us from the end goal, I think. And maybe I'm just speaking for myself. I think you as well think that it's going a lot lower. Most projects in both traditional and crypto markets, but I definitely think that right now, where it's like that calm before the storm, it's where information's coming out, but the markets are being a little bit delayed to react. So that's what I'm seeing right now. It's kind of scary. I know we have some data coming out tomorrow, and the FOMC minutes that we had yesterday were pretty interesting. So yeah, we can get into that whenever, and it's just what we're thinking long term.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be the main focus today is, our long-term thoughts, how we're viewing this year, how we think others should be approaching it. Once again, not financial advice. So let's start with yesterday. The FOMC minutes came out, and this was not surprising to me. You and I have been discussing this for months, the idea that the Fed is going to, inflation is just not cooling at the rate that they were expecting. And I put the question for today's show, does the Fed know what they're doing? I'm not totally sure they do, because so far, they waited way too long to start raising rates. Once they started raising, the hikes were too small. Then they started jacking them up to the fucking moon. And so I'm not really sure the Fed has any idea what is going on. And now, we get this word yesterday that like, hey, the rates are going to stay higher for longer. Maybe we don't see, a decrease in the funds rate until 2024, maybe late 2023, best case scenario probably. But, there's still a long way for this to play out. And, that kind of goes into today's jobs data. There was the release of private sector job creation for December. It was expected to be 153,000 jobs, 235,000 jobs. So the job market is still very strong. There's still plenty, even with, we hear the headlines of like, oh, Amazon's laying off 17,000 people. Meta laid off 10,000 people. Well, guess what? There's still a shit ton of jobs to be created. There were less, initial jobless claims today than were anticipated, which shouldn't be surprising with the other data in mind. So we're seeing this jobs market that continues to be hot. A lot of these jobs are higher end, though, which is good for those people. But my big concern long term is that we're seeing this funds rate that is going to keep going up, is going to stay up higher. We already know that credit card debt, consumer debt is an all-time, like I believe at least a 20-year high, if not an all-time high.
All-time high.
Most people don't realize that when the funds rate goes up, that impacts your credit rate, your credit card percentage as well that you're paying. So people are carrying balances. They're really high. They're going to keep getting higher. We're going to see that, as inflation doesn't cool, because it's really still, we haven't seen it under 7% in quite a while. So that number is going to keep staying high. People are in debt. Their debt's going to keep going up. They're not going to get out of that debt. The housing market is cooled. We're going to start to see, more people unable to pay their credit card bills, pay their mortgages. Like a lot of really bad shit is coming. Yeah. And the Fed seems to not be able to control any of it.
Yeah, no, you probably broke it down the best I've heard anyone, break it down. It's not looking good at all. It's actually, I'm not going to put fear into anybody, but it is a bit scary to see what's coming, and no one seems to be reacting to it, whether it's the Fed, retail, or any other people in like institutions.
You're going robot on me.
Oh, am I? Better?
Yep, you're going robot on me. You just froze on my
man.
screen. Okay, now you're back.
All right, cool. So yeah, so just saying again, you put it really well. I think the best I've heard anyone say it so far, in no BS. Like, I don't think people realize how scary of a situation this is. Again, you and me were both fairly young in 2008, 2009, 2010 when unemployment was pretty high. It was like around 10% or something like that. And, we saw tons of bankruptcies. We saw people, foreclose their homes, tons of unemployment. It's an absolute, like, this feels like a flashback to those years, that what's coming. I don't know if people are realizing this or if they're just like, don't care. But like you said, as inflation comes down, the unemployment rate has to go up. It's just, that's how it works when they raise the rates. They have to keep people from spending money. And when people can't spend money because they don't have work, they're obviously going to leverage their credit. They're going to use debt to buy things that they can't afford. And when people can't when they don't have cash on hand, they usually sell assets that they also have, which affects both traditional and crypto markets. They need cash to, for heating, for food, stuff like that, just to stay alive, to stay afloat, keep their livelihoods. Not from changing too much, but obviously everything's going to drastically change. So what really scares me more than anything right now is unemployment, because we're just not seeing it come down. I mean, the data that you provided is telling that the job market is extremely strong. And if they're not going to stop raising rates, that tells me that there's a good chance that they could increase the rates again, too. They could easily go back to 50, 75. Will they do it every month? We don't know. We have to see how it develops. We have to see how this unemployment data comes back. It's tomorrow, correct? We get the unemployment data tomorrow?
Yes. Yeah, we'll get the updated unemployment numbers tomorrow. I'm looking on to see if I could get the data from CME Group around. Here we go. So they have raised the probability of a 50 basis point hike up to about 40%. A week ago, they had it at about 75% chance of a 25% basis point hike. A day ago, it was at about a 70% chance. And today's data moved that another 10 percentage points toward the probability of a 50 basis point. And if we see unemployment tomorrow come in, oh, cool. Oh, dude, we're getting our first bot. Beautiful girls here. You love to see it. Let's go ahead and see if we can block this person. Yep, block user. There we go. Goodbye. But that just shows that we're growing and we're starting to make it, that we're getting, the porn bots coming in. So kudos, pat on the back to us.
That's because my volatility.
Like I was saying, your volatility and that sweet haircut. So if we look at tomorrow's unemployment data, if that's going to come in, let's say like, what if unemployment goes down? If we go like to 3.6%, 3.5, it's going to be bad. The market's not going to react well. If that's the case, we're going to see 50 basis points become the higher likelihood. And then we have, another inflation reading to come out later this month. The Fed, the next meeting is January 31st and February 1st. It's bad, man. And I don't see it getting better anytime soon.
I agree.
It's out of control. It's all the train is off the tracks. And right now, Jerome Powell is just trying to put some mattresses in front of it to slow the fucking thing down. And it's not working. And
again, retail's part of the problem too. They keep buying into this stuff, man. They think that just because it's been so long since the bull market, that we've been in a bear market for like 500 days or whatever, for however long we've been in a bear market for, since the last all-time high. It doesn't mean that it's going to come back soon. This could play out as long as it needs to.
Like the stock market has been in a bear market for less than a year, right?
Yeah.
Like if you look at, January of last year, we were still at some pretty high valuations, and those have come down. I mean, you look at like Tesla, goddamn it, Nvidia, which is one of my biggest holdings. A lot of these tech stocks have been getting massacred. The Dow didn't have as bad of a year as the NASDAQ did, which isn't too surprising just based off of those sectors that they look at. But I mean, crypto has been in a bear market for over a year now, but it hasn't even been, this is probably, we're looking at like, well, it could be a multi-year bear market. It wouldn't surprise me at all if that was the case. So here's how I'm choosing to look at this right now is this is the year to just be fucking lean, man. Like cutting expenses. Like if you are living above your means right now, you are out of your goddamn mind. Okay. It's never a good idea to live above your means, but especially in a time like this. Like this is, you and I have said it before, this is a generational opportunity to accumulate assets at a time where everyone else is scared and selling assets. So it's like, this is the time to do what you got to do to accumulate some cash, buy into some of these things when they get low in price, like Tesla going sub $100. That's definitely a possibility. Amazon continuing to go down. A lot of these businesses that I strongly believe will be fine long term, but there are going to be the opportunities for tremendous returns. We haven't even seen it with the housing market yet. Like, I would love to be able to buy another piece of property in the next 12 to 24 months, but that's going to require holding cash, being smart with things, not overindulging. Like, I know that you got to live your life and be happy with all that, but you got to just be smart right now, and you have to cut back on as many expenses as you can. I've been doing it left and right over here, like trying to cut back on, TV plans and streaming plans, and like every 10, 15 bucks a month I can save, that shit does add up, and I will take that every single day.
Oh, I agree, man. And again, it's, as we talk about unemployment too, like the time right now to make cash is absolutely right now. If unemployment goes up, people are going to be competing for jobs. Companies are not going to be able to pay people, whether they're qualified or unskilled laborers. Like, it doesn't matter who you are. You're going to be fighting for every job that's open because there's not many, and you need to have that cash on hand. So when the opportunity comes, obviously you need to take advantage of it so that you can have generational wealth. And I'm not one of the people in the world that believes that for someone in the market to make money, someone has to lose money. I think it's just people cash out at different times. But this is a point where a lot of people are just, it seems like the economy right now, the markets are all gearing up to screw everyone. And you just have to be absolutely smart right now. You need to stack cash, and you have to do it before everything begins to just plummet, because then it's too late. You have to be thinking 2-3 years ahead almost at this point, just to make sure that in 2-3 years, you don't have to worry about anything for the rest of your life. So it's really just a time of just preparation, diligence, and just focusing nonstop on just stacking cash. Because as we saw today, DXY is absolutely pumping while everything else is either stagnant or going down.
Yeah, getting some great comments from Ace over here. Just wanted to shine a light on that. So I agree. Definitely. This is going to last into Q3, Q4, could last into next year. There's also, thank you for your help getting the porn bots here. That means the world to Kevin and I. We're starting to make it, fam. But yeah, it's going to get worse. And the time to buy, the time to sell is always when your non-investing friends start asking about crypto, or when you want to screenshot what your balance looks like because it's so high. Well, on the other side of the spectrum, if you want signs that it's time to start buying again, it's when everyone starts, the people who know that you're into crypto are texting you like, oh my God, are you okay? Like, are you going to make it out of this? That's when it's time to accumulate more. Or when you hear, the headlines are nonstop about how bad crypto is, or in the traditional stock market, when you hear everyone complain about how their 401k is down X percentage and they're not going to be able to retire for an additional 10 years, that's when you start buying. Like, when all hope is lost, when everyone is worried about you, that's when you just go even harder at it, because you know that we're near the bottom at that point.
Yeah, you just have to eat the fear at that point. Like, everyone else is doing the opposite. Obviously, big money is going to do the opposite of what retail is doing. So when retail is afraid, that's when everyone else gets really excited who has cash on the side.
Yep, for sure. So tomorrow we get unemployment. That's going to be, that's going to be very telling. We'll talk about that more on Monday. Let's get into the charts a little bit. We're going to look at the DXY. We were talking before the show. A lot of crypto is just kind of moving sideways at the moment. We saw a nice little jump in Ethereum and, most other cryptos the other day. Solana's still holding in there, in large part thanks to Bonk, which we will talk about. I can't believe we're talking about a shit coin called Bonk, but so be it. So let's talk about the DXY first.
Absolutely.
That's a green candle.
Yes, it's a beautiful candle, isn't it? I've been waiting for it for a long time, JWeb. I've been talking about it. I'm like, the dollar is too strong at this point. Risk assets are ready to go down. But on Tuesday, we did see a huge pump. We came to this 103.665. We hit below it for a few days, but we just bounced right off of it, which tells me that this is pretty strong support right here, and it's within our parallel channel too. So we broke out of this this bull flag, came to the upside. Saw a little bit of resistance here at 104.66, but then we just bounced right through that, which means that hopefully we can close above this for maybe the next few days or so. The key obviously key resistance was 105.69. That's right here at this white line. Will we hit that? I would like to hit it and maybe retest the 104 and then kind of just trade in this before moving to the upside. But as we can see on the daily stochastic RSI, it is pretty overvalued. We're probably going to see some type of come back. It'll come back down at some point. Again, this could last for a few days or so, maybe after the next week or something. But if we go to the weekly, we are completely undervalued. And look at this green candle. So it'll be interesting to see on the weekly close where this is. We shot right up. I'd imagine that if we come above, well, obviously I want to get above this 105.6 before we can start talking about some of these other targets. This 109.169, I would like to retest. And just another point too, like we saw a ton, like let's look at this on the macro. The DXY has been coming down for weeks. Like that's a pretty big drop over the past, Monday 26, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, like 16 weeks that we've just been coming down for like 4 months on the DXY. And we're starting to pump up now. But that entire time, assets were still coming down. Maybe not in the traditional markets, but definitely in the crypto markets. We had the FTX collapse. We're at like 19K at one point in September, and currently we're sitting at like 16.8. It was at 15.8 at one point, 15.6 at one point. So once the dollar starts to get stronger, I would be kind of afraid for most risk assets. I think that's when we could easily see some capitulation events. There's other stuff coming out too. Like we saw, just to go back to unemployment, we saw that Gemini just laid off 30% of its staff, and the CEO just stepped down, like just resigned. And I know with digital
when did that happen? I didn't see that.
I actually saw it on. Let's see if I can go. Where was it? Maybe it was on Solana, or was it? Maybe Sol. I saw it somewhere.
Okay.
Either way. Yeah, but okay. It was a pretty big amount, and I was like, okay. And there's apparently some stuff coming out January 8th about Digital Currency Group 2. So like say something like that happens where Gemini just says that they're insolvent. I think a lot of people think other exchanges are still insolvent. I really don't know until it happens, but Gemini is not looking good right now. I think that they're either cutting back for a reason, they are trying to stay alive, or something we don't know, maybe about Genesis. Hopefully not, but we're going to get some information on that. But if that happens, obviously that's going to cause the dollar to pump as risk assets come down in the crypto markets. And we could see the dollar just destroy risk assets. Doesn't even need to pump that much. It doesn't have to come back to these all-time highs to really bring or drag down the price of other coins, stocks, and stuff like that. So that's what I'm saying with the DXY. To me, this thing looks strong as can be, and it's ready to make its next few legs up on the weekly.
Okay. Do you want to look at like BTC, ETH, anything in there stand out to you, or do you think that we can we can skip those for today?
No, we'll go through a few of them. Nothing crazy. Obviously, I always want to point out with Bitcoin on this weekly chart, this death cross. Last time we said that there's going to be a kiss coming pretty soon. I definitely think that's coming as long as the dollar keeps going up. Bitcoin's been going sideways for a little bit. It's been this range between like 16.6 and 16.9. Hasn't broke above 17 in a while. It's gotten very close. And obviously, if we look here, it's broke out of this parallel channel. It's probably going to retest it and get rejected. But like I said, when we break out of these parallel channels, we see these nasty candles come down. And does it have to go all the way lower than, say, down here? No, it doesn't have to. But we've seen some pretty nasty ones. Like, look at this one right here. It's coming all the way down from that. So, and this is on the weekly. Yeah. So this is really interesting. Obviously, we know that if we look at the monthly, there is, I got to clean up these charts a little bit and make it a little bit easier. But on the monthly, we know that this is the current support all the way down here at 14K. We're currently sitting at 16.854. Nothing in my gut is telling me that we're going to shoot back up to 19.6 and close above it. So I think that there's a better chance that we're going to come down because we're trading that bullish or that parallel channel. It's bear flag. It's going to come straight down. We're going to retest this. Could we go into another parallel channel? Absolutely. I still think that we're trading within this falling wedge, which technically is a bullish indicator. But again, if we're talking about how this could last a while, crypto obviously could bottom before the stock market. It usually does. Maybe it bottoms 2-3 months before the actual stock market bottom comes in. But yeah, I still see tons of room to the downside. I still anticipate there to be massive liquidations. So even 14K, I think it's going to go way below that. I think we'll see wicks down to maybe 11.5. Could even see a wick down to 10. It really depends on what the markets are looking like, what unemployment comes in, any data that we get. So that's what I'm seeing with Bitcoin. It's not looking great. Long-term macro, obviously, we want to get as much Bitcoin as we can for the least amount of money just to make our dollar go further. But I'm not seeing it at this level. Right now, 16.8 is not looking bullish to me.
Okay. Let's look at ETH next.
Yeah, so ETH we saw the other day, insane liquidations. I believe it was like $54 million worth of liquidations in a 24-hour period, which is insane. I don't know what caused liquidations. I guess people were just going long when, there's tons of short positions. And obviously all those short positions got eaten up. But if we look at ETH on the 4-hour, let's go to the daily actually. We can see that we were trading in this bear flag. We're coming to the upside. We broke out of it and then we broke back in it. I mean, we could also just argue that that's technically still within the flag and we're just going to retest this upper level. I really don't believe that. I think that we're extremely high in the daily stochastic RSI. The volume came up a lot right here, but that might just be liquidations. Like people saw that there was a lot of shorts. People might have thought that, because this was breaking out of this channel right here, that it's going to go down. I think it caught a lot of late shorts off guard, and then that's why the price went up. I don't necessarily see there being a lot of strength for ETH. Again, I still say that there's this 1083 level is like a magnet. It wants to just come straight down. It would be the third time that more than the third time. This would be the fifth time that we come and retest it if we do test it on the daily. If we go to it on the monthly, obviously it's our 1, 2, 3, 4. It'd be our fourth time testing it. So I would anticipate us to test it. I think we break underneath it and then maybe come above it. But 877 is probably the big key one that we want to watch out for because that's the June low that we hit. But 1083, I think, needs to be tested. I think it's coming soon. I think a lot of what Bitcoin and Ethereum are doing right now is sideways consolidation. It's kind of just like this narrative is just like kind of propping up like, oh, everything's okay, when in reality, a lot of people understand that this stuff's going to go down further. And it's letting the altcoins lead for the most part. It has been for the past 2 weeks, but I think once these two begin to start moving, it's going to be pretty nasty.
Okay. We can go ahead and skip Matic and Link today. They've been moving pretty sideways since Monday. Let's look at Solana and then Bonk.
Okay, if I can find the Bonk chart. Yeah, so I did tweet out the other day. I think this was whatever day it shot up to this stupid green candle. Let me see if I can find it. And I say stupid just because obviously Bonk is the reason that's a lot of people are speculating that this came up. But I believe it was like right around here on Tuesday. It was like 12:39. That's the level we were at. I think I tweeted out, if you enjoy eating shit, I would put your bib on at 14.11. And it got rejected at 14.11. So I'm expecting there to be a lot of downside, especially since Bonk is the reason that's holding this thing up. Hit right here at 14.11 perfectly. It's going to come. It's been like topping off. You can see that the volumes are coming down on the daily. We're high on the stochastic RSI. And this is just the stupidest move I've ever seen for a coin that a lot of people are expecting to be dead. I think that if you're in a bear market and a coin is absolutely losing all of its developers, it's losing its biggest NFT projects, and a meme coin called Bonk, which is no different than like a Shiba Inu or like a Doge, maybe even just like less because it's on Solana, isn't it? Like it's on their blockchain. Yeah.
Yep.
So if that's the reason that people are getting bullish over a meme coin in a bear market in the middle of Q1 when the stock market hasn't even begun to make its massive waves to the downside, I can tell you that a lot of people are going to get screwed on this one. This seems like a massive liquidation event. I think a lot of people who are shorting at like $8 got absolutely wrecked as the price went up to $13, $14. And I think it's going to go straight back down. Again, we're in liquidation season. People are going to try and make money, especially when the markets are moving sideways for Bitcoin and Ethereum. They're going to do everything they can to just liquidate people on shorts and longs. And we did see this. Solana was the third highest liquidation coin over the past few days. And I think it was like 10 million the same night that Ethereum put in 54 million. So it's really interesting. I still say that on the monthly time frame, we're looking at that 415 level. I don't care that it shot back up here. I think it's going to go right back down. As fast as it came up, it's going to fast back down. Let's see. Yeah,
I mean, we've seen, we'll talk about it more with Bonk, but we've seen these shit coins, like they've gone on runs and they've stayed, they've stayed there for a while, just long enough to convince people that it might be legit before it just goes tits up. So I think that as soon as that happens, Sol is going to go with it. It really, I don't know a ton about Solana. I should learn more. We should have somebody on sometime, maybe who understands it or develops on Solana. But it just seems like it's being propped up right now by hopes and dreams that this shitcoin is going to revive it.
Yeah, again, if one of a project on your ecosystem is what's driving, the price up in a bear market when it's a meme coin, I mean, I'm not going to, obviously people are making money off it. I'm not going to say anything bad about that, but fundamentally that does not make any sense. And I think that illusion of, this thing is going to the moon is going to, like you said, go tits up fairly soon. And that's going to take Sol with it. Like you said, it's just the nature of the game. You know what I mean? It's liquidation season. People are going to make and lose a lot of money.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's look at bonk then, because that has been the talk of crypto. I mean, the term bonk, the word bonk has been trending on Twitter, for God's sake. So if you can find the chart. So Ace right here, I got a Twitter Spaces tomorrow. It's actually Kevin DeGods who is coming on my show tomorrow, the CEO of DeGods. So I'm interested to hear what he has to say. But yeah, I'll ask him, what happened with bonk. So go ahead. Do we have that? That's a nice green candle right there. Is that the only chart available for bonk?
I'm looking at the hourly on this. This is ridiculous. How many? Everyone just listed bonk like 2 hours ago. What's that's how new it is. I'm trying to think. Just like wrapped ETH, but wrapped ETH is like one of the hardest charts to read. I'm not smart enough to read that chart. Let's just go with Wobi. No, that was a bad one. Let's just go with Gate.io. Yeah, we'll go with that on the hourly. Obviously, there's a ton of information that's missing here. You saw this run up. Let's see the daily.
Here, it's not on TradingView, but I can pull up CoinGecko. They have, the 7-day chart for it if we want to look at that real quick.
Yeah, let me just stop my
screen.
We
can't look at the same type of data, but at least we can kind of see a longer view of it if you want to call, 6 days long. So here we go. Here's bonk. It released, looks like Thursday, December 29th. And I mean, you can just see a lot of action on this one. Trading volume, $185 million. It's actually 172nd by market cap amongst all tokens, which is pretty interesting. $134 million market cap.
What's the circulating supply? Is it like
on the 7-day? It's up 2,900%. So that's cool.
Nice.
Circulating supply is how many? I can't even. 100,000 million, 46 trillion tokens.
46 trillion.
Let's see, 100 million or 100,000 million billion. Yeah, 46 trillion.
Wow.
This is a circulating supply.
No bueno. Usually that's a sign of. Yeah. Again, teach their own. If you're making money on bonk, God bless you. I'm not going to say anything bad about that, but fundamentally, for a coin that has that circulating supply and that many people are buying into it and people are going crazy over it, once that thing goes down and there's nothing else that people can talk good about Solana for, you're going to get bonked. That's everyone's going to get bonked. I mean, it's the only thing that's going to happen. I mean, how many times have we seen these types of coins, like even like Squid Game? You know what I mean? Someone just wrote
Oh my
that.
God.
It's the most infamous, probably the most infamous one, but
that video, it went to zero. God, that shit cracks me up every time. I mean, someone will be able to do the same thing with bonk. Not even all of it is in circulation yet.
Yeah, imagine it. It's probably like what, 46 trillion? Yeah.
Yeah, 100 trillion max supply, 99 total supply, 46.5 trillion circulating. So a lot of it is being held still. There's one wallet that holds like 25% of it. Like there's just.
See, that's not good, man. It's
being pumped by, influencers, by people who have a bag. There's a lot of hopium around this coin right now. I have not and will not be doing anything with bonk. I'm happy for the people who got airdropped some money and got to start their year off with some money. Yeah. I hope to God that they didn't add to their position. I hope they just maybe let that airdrop ride and took some profit on the way up. Like that's that's what I would have done. That's what I would, hope that others are doing. But you know that there are people who are, actually taking their hard-earned American dollars or whatever currency they use, and they're putting it into this shit coin on the hope that it's the next Doge and that it goes to 0.0001 cent and they make all sorts of money. Like, it's really stupid. The euphoria around it is just a classic indicator that it's time to sell. I think, let's look at 2:30 next week. I'm going to screenshot on my end where Bonk is right now, and we're going to take a little look-see next week and see where it's at. And I'd be willing to bet a sizable amount of money that it is not anywhere close to the current valuation.
I agree. I don't think next week a lot of people are going to be in the mood to bonk, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So I think that wraps it up with the bonk talk. Anything else we want to discuss today before we wrap it up? I will say next week is going to be an interesting one. On Monday, we get some Fed inflation expectations, which could be very telling. And then on Thursday morning, so before our Thursday afternoon show, we will find out about CPI data. So we got core CPI year over year. We got.
Oh no! Did you freeze on me?
Data coming out. So it looks like the expectation for CPI is 7.1%. Core is 6%. If we come in under those, great. If we come in hot, then it could be a very bloody day when we get on for our show.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I got nothing else to add. I think more or less it's just make sure you're doing the right things right now. Be ahead of the game. I keep tweeting out, control what you control. Everything else will fall into place. And that's literally the only thing you can do. You can't control the markets or what the Fed's going to do. Obviously, know that it's going down. So just take care of yourself, protect your wealth. Think macro, not just a few months down the road, but think years down the road. It's the only way we're going to win the game. Obviously, you have to play the game the way people who have big money win. Otherwise, you're going to get destroyed. So, yeah, that's all I got. We'll see more developments when we see more news come out.
Go find somewhere you can donate blood plasma.
Yeah.
If you can donate semen for money, go ahead and do that. Whatever you can to get some extra cash on hand and buy the dip. It's the key to generational wealth right there. So that's how we're going to end it for today. Thank you for watching today's stream. Please like the show, subscribe to our channel. If you enjoy our content, would love if you would share it with anyone. We're just trying to get the good word out there. So for Kevin, for the team at FLOLiO, I am Jeremy. Have a great day, everybody. We'll be back on Monday.
Go Nickelback.